Well, the tables may have turned on New York Attorney General Letitia James. For years, she pushed this Get Trump campaign, brought a massive civil fraud case against the then presidential candidate. But now AG James is being accused of one of the very same things that she's gone after the president for. Joining me now is someone who knows the Attorney General well. Please welcome former New York AG candidate Michael Henry. You ran against James in 2022. You're planning to run against her again next year. Let's start off with your reaction to this case. We were talking about it in the break, but the Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a referral to the Department of Justice saying that she lied about certain properties to get a better loan for her mortgage. She also claimed that a home in Virginia was her primary residence while she was bringing this case against Trump in New York. She was the Attorney General at that time. So in the state of New York, to be the Attorney General, your primary residence must be in New York. But she prosecuted Trump for all this. Favorable loan rates is what he had on his properties, even tweeted about it last year. What do you make of all this?
I make of all this is it's the Letitia James I ran against in 2022. It's the Letitia James I'm running against in 2026. She's never held accountable. And if you look at this is a pattern with her, because when she went after Andrew Cuomo for sexual misconduct in the workplace, at the same time, it turned out she was covering up her chief of staff doing it. And myself, Michael Lawler, Elise Stefanik, Rob Ortt, who's the minority leader in our state Senate, we pushed this issue in the media. She had to fire him. Claimed it was baseless, there was nothing to it. Turns out it was substantiated. Now what she's doing with this situation is she went after Donald Trump, claiming that he put these inflated values on his properties and bank loans. And by the way, the appellate court didn't really seem to buy this argument, so there's a chance that some of these appellate judges don't believe that the lower court had the right ruling. But she went after him, and now what are we seeing? We're seeing a pattern over years. 1983 and 2000, you look at her mortgage documents, which are in the city records, the deed says her and her father. You look at the actual mortgage applications, it says husband and wife, which, I mean, a 12-year-old, you can put an application in front of them and they're going to say to themselves, I'm not married to my dad. And then now going all the way to 2023, when she was the sitting attorney general, she has this case in Virginia, where this property was purchased. Now she's saying that there was a power of attorney and she bought the property with someone and they signed off on it. The reality here is she probably didn't want to go to Virginia for a real estate closing. She gave power of attorney to someone, but you should be reading this documents. I mean, this is basic reading comprehension. You don't need a law degree. She was the attorney general of the state. She was barred as an attorney for probably about almost 40 years at that point. And you can't read a basic document that says my primary address is in Virginia or I'm married to my father. And there's really no way you could say this is baseless when all you have to do is go to the county clerk's records in Virginia or you go to the New York City ACRA system, and all this is documented legally. It's all documented legal documentation.
Well, this is her side of it. The Attorney General, of course, responded to these accusations. This is what I should say in a Spectrum interview, with Spectrum News, that is. This is how she defended herself. Watch.
Let me just say to all New Yorkers and to all Americans, the allegations are baseless. The allegations are nothing more than a revenge tour. I will not be silenced. I will not be bullied. I will not bend. I will not break. And I will not bow to anyone. No one is above the law, including the President of these United States.
So she also got asked a very tough question here by the anchor, and this is how she responded. Watch.
Let me ask you about some of the specifics in the letter. They're saying that your house in Brooklyn is a legal 5-family and the mortgage on it is for a 4-family house. Is that true?
So let me just say that, Errol, you know, as any good attorney, I will not litigate this case in a camera.
All right, you're laughing, but why?
Because we see that every day outside the courthouse in Manhattan holding a press conference, screaming unhinged, nobody's above the law. And in that same interview, she wouldn't say whether or not those documents are legitimate. And now she looks like the Ilhan Omar of attorney generals. Nobody buys what she's selling. In the interview itself, she looks like she's staring at a teleprompter and she's reading line for line her answers, because we've seen her off the cuff when she's awkwardly stumbling through these press conferences. And the reality of the situation here is nobody's above the law, including Letitia James. And she's constantly has these issues that come up. And for a long time, she's gotten a free pass, and she's not getting them anymore. She said last week, I was trained by the best at the National Action Network conference. If you were trained by the best, you should be able to read these documents and see the discrepancies that were glaring discrepancies in the papers before you executed them and allowed them to be filed into the public record.
It's ironic that she wanted to go after Trump. She said, I'm going to get Trump, and then she said, no one's above the law. But now the narrative is the Trump administrations are the bully. They're coming after me. But isn't that kind of what she was doing as the Attorney General, going after Trump?
She ran for office on the promise she would find crimes. She took Ivanka Trump and marched her into a civil trial like she was a criminal. And now someone in Virginia is probably going to be subpoenaed about this property, and she's going to turn around and play like her and that person are the victim. You do this kind of stuff to other people, but then you don't like when it's done to you. She took out a sitting governor in her own party. This is bipartisan with her. When I was running against her, they released Nikki Haley's non-for-profit tax returns to the media, which is something that's against the law in the state of New York. She has a history of doing this to people across the aisle. When Andrew Cuomo, Nikki Haley, and Donald Trump are on the same side against somebody, that tells you that they could build a coalition. And her reason for building this coalition is because she targets everybody. And I can tell you she has friends on both sides of the aisle, and the voters of New York are tired of her. Her act is stale.
Well, we'll see what happens. Right now, they're accusations, but we'll see whether or not there actually becomes charges against her. We'll wait to see. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you for having me.